Hey everyone, and welcome back to another deep dive.
Um,
Today we're tackling Adam Grant's Think Again.
oh, this one's great.
It is. It's all about, questioning those assumptions we all have and how to kind of update our beliefs.
It's like a mental reboot.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And if you want to learn more about the book after this deep dive, we've got a link to the One Book a Day YouTube channel in the description.
And a link to buy it on Amazon, too.
Right. So let's jump in. What really struck me about this book is how it shows how we cling to old views even when they're so outdated.
It's so true. We're all guilty of it.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
like refusing to upgrade from,
An old flip phone.
yeah, who would even think about using a flip phone in 2024?
Right. But our opinions, sometimes those are stuck in the past.
Totally. Grant calls it seizing and freezing.
Hmm.
Like you'd replace a broken phone right away. But what about when someone challenges your opinion on something, like a political issue or whatever? How open are you then to new information?
That's the thing. We're often way more attached to our ideas than our material possessions.
Yeah. And that can be a real problem. Grant tells this crazy story about the Man Gulch wildfire.
Oh, yeah. The smoke jumpers.
Yeah. It shows how crucial it is to rethink things, especially under pressure.
Remember Wagner Dodge? The smoke jumper who survived by lighting a fire?
Yeah, his crew didn't adapt, and
It didn't end well.
it's a stark reminder that sometimes our instincts can backfire.
Especially in a crisis.
We got to be able to think on our feet, even if it means going against what we've always been taught.
Definitely. But rethinking isn't just for life or death stuff, right?
No way. It's for everyday challenges, too, like dealing with a tough situation at work or even reassessing our personal beliefs.
It's especially important with something like imposter syndrome.
Oh, tell me about it.
You ever feel like a fraud, even when you're successful?
All the time. I used to think imposter syndrome was like something to overcome. But Grant kind of flips that idea.
He says a little bit of imposter syndrome can actually be good for you.
Yeah, it can push us to work harder and be more open to learning.
It's about finding that balance.
That sweet spot of confidence.
Exactly. Believing in yourself, but knowing you still have room to grow.
It's like getting those butterflies before a big
A
presentation.
little bit of nerves can help you focus.
Right, but too much, and it's paralyzing.
So how do we find that sweet spot?
Well, Grant says one key is to detach our identities from our opinions,
It's easy to get defensive when someone challenges our beliefs.
like they're attacking us personally.
Right. But what if we based our identity on our values instead?
Values are more like our guiding principles.
Our moral compass?
Yeah, and our beliefs are just our interpretations of the world, which can change.
They should change as we learn and grow.
It's like our values are the foundation of a house,
Solid and unchanging.
and beliefs are the walls and roof. You can remodel those.
You can even tear them down and start over.
So how does this work in real life? Like, let's say you're at work and you disagree with a colleague.
Ooh, good one.
How do you have a productive debate without it getting personal?
That's where task conflict comes in. You focus on the merits of each idea, not on attacking each other.
So you're challenging the ideas, not the person.
Right. And sometimes those disagreements can lead to breakthroughs.
Like with Brad Bird, the director of The Incredibles.
He actually built a team of people who were known for disagreeing.
He called them pirates.
Yeah, they weren't afraid to challenge him, and it led to a groundbreaking film.
Sometimes we need those dissenting voices to push us to think differently.
And to do that, you need to be good at persuasive listening. It's not just waiting for your turn to talk.
It's about really trying to understand the other person's view, even if you don't agree with them.
Like that champion debater, Harish Nataran.
Oh, the one who debated that 8-year-old.
Yeah. He was brilliant, but he was also super respectful and curious about his opponent's perspective.
It's about approaching conversations with a learner's mindset.
With humility, doubt.
Hmm.
And a genuine curiosity for the truth.
Which leads us perfectly into the next part of our deep dive, where we'll talk about how to apply these ideas to everything from navigating tricky social issues to rethinking our careers.
Can't wait.
But first, let's just take a moment to appreciate the power of rethinking. It's about being okay with not having all the answers,
And being open to the possibility that we might be wrong.
which can be tough, but it's also incredibly freeing.
Because when we let go of the need to be right, we open ourselves up to a whole world of learning and growth.
And that's what makes life interesting, right?
Totally. And that's where things get really interesting, especially when we talk about these complex social issues.
Yeah, like everyone's dug in with their opinions,
Right.
ready to battle it out.
And it leads to so much oversimplification.
Like with the whole climate change debate.
It's not just believer versus denier.
Right. It's way more nuanced than that.
It's what Grant calls binary bias. trying to squeeze a complicated issue into two opposing sides.
Like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole?
Exactly. It shuts down any real conversation.
It's like saying you're either a cat person or a dog person.
What about those of us who love both?
Exactly. We need to acknowledge the complexity, the shades of gray.
Like Daryl Davis, the black musician who talked to KKK members,
Oh, wow. The one who actually changed some of their minds.
just by listening to them and asking questions.
That's powerful.
It shows that change is possible, but it takes a willingness to understand different perspectives.
Even the ones we really disagree with?
Even the ones that make us uncomfortable.
Makes you wonder if we just listened more and shouted less.
Maybe we could actually make some progress.
But let's switch gears for a second and talk about education.
Okay.
It feels like we're so focused on standardized tests and memorizing facts.
That we forget to teach kids how to think for themselves.
Exactly. Grant says education should be about more than just filling kids' heads with information.
It should be about teaching them to question, analyze.
Form their own opinions.
Like that teacher who used outdated textbooks.
Oh yeah, the one whose students were like shocked by all the wrong stuff?
Exactly. It made them question everything they were learning.
That's brilliant.
It's like giving them the tools to navigate this world of information.
Especially with so much misinformation out there.
We need to equip them to think critically.
And rethinking isn't just for students, right? We need to keep doing it as adults too.
All the time. Especially when it comes to our careers.
Yeah, we get stuck in this idea of having one career for life.
Which can lead to identity foreclosure.
Like picking a major in college and feeling trapped by it.
It can be scary.
Grant says we should view careers as actions we take, not fixed identities.
Instead of what do I want to be when I grow up, it should be what do I want to do next?
So it's about being open to change.
To letting our interests evolve.
Which brings us to job crafting.
Even if you can't switch careers completely, you can still reshape your current job.
To make it more aligned with your values.
So it's like rearranging the furniture in a room.
To make it feel more spacious.
You might not be able to change everything, but you can still make it a place where you feel good.
It's like I've been feeling this pressure to have it all figured out, you know?
The 10-year plan?
Yeah. Like if I don't have a roadmap for my future, I'm failing somehow.
That's a common trap.
But Grant says clinging to rigid plans can actually hold us back.
Life rarely goes according to plan.
So it's about being open to the unexpected.
To the detours.
The plot twists.
Sometimes the most fulfilling experiences come from those unplanned adventures.
It's like the saying, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry.
Exactly. And it's in those unexpected moments that we often grow the most.
But even with all this talk about rethinking, there's still a part of me that craves that certainty.
I get it. It's comforting to know where you're headed.
It's like this constant tension between stability and wanting to grow and change.
And that leads us to process accountability.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more.
It's about evaluating not just the outcomes, but the process of how we got there.
Okay.
Did we consider all the options? Did we get different perspectives? Did we create a space where people felt safe to speak up?
Sometimes a good outcome can mask a bad process.
Like that NASA example with the astronaut who almost drowned during a spacewalk.
Oh, wow.
They had all this planning and expertise, but a small issue with the spacesuit almost led to disaster.
That's scary.
It shows that even the most experienced organizations need to constantly rethink and improve.
Which brings us back to the core of this whole deep dive.
The power of knowing what you don't know.
Recognizing that we all have blind spots.
Biases.
Areas where our thinking could use a shakeup.
And it's about cultivating that scientist's mindset.
Approaching the world with humility.
Doubt.
And a constant desire to learn.
It's about embracing the journey of rethinking.
Knowing that the more we question, the more we grow.
And that's a journey worth taking, don't you think?
Absolutely. But before we wrap up this part, I think it's important to acknowledge that rethinking can be tough.
Yeah, for sure.
It can be uncomfortable. It forces us to confront our limitations.
To let go of beliefs we've held for a long time.
To be open to the possibility that we might be wrong. But it's in that discomfort that we find the potential for real growth.
And transformation.
I think that's a great place to pause for now.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
From binary bias to process accountability.
But there's still more to explore.
Join us for part 3, where we'll get even more practical.
We'll talk about strategies for incorporating rethinking into our everyday lives.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into Think Again.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have, from challenging those assumptions to embracing uncertainty.
And even reframing imposter syndrome.
I'm feeling inspired to actually put all this into practice.
Me too.
It's like Grant's given us a mental decluttering guide.
Time to get rid of those old beliefs.
Make room for some new perspectives.
It's something we could all benefit from.
Totally. It's so easy to get stuck in our own little bubbles, surrounded by people who already agree with us.
But real growth comes from getting outside our comfort zones.
Exposing ourselves to different viewpoints.
That's like we cling to our opinions.
Like they're life rafts.
Sometimes we gotta jump ship and swim for a new horizon.
Even if it feels a little scary.
That's where the magic happens.
When we let go of being right.
And embrace the possibility of being wrong.
It's tough, though. Admitting we were wrong.
It can be. But it's also liberating.
Especially when we've built our whole identity around certain beliefs.
It's like updating your wardrobe.
You might have loved that old sweater in college.
But it might be time for a new style.
Our thinking needs a refresh, too. Sometimes.
So where do we even begin?
Yeah. How do we actually incorporate rethinking into our everyday lives?
One way is to build challenge networks.
Challenge networks.
Yeah, it's a group of people you trust, friends, colleagues, mentors.
People who will call you out.
Exactly. They can help us see our blind spot.
Challenge our assumptions.
And ultimately make better decisions.
Especially in a world with so much information coming at us.
It's more important than ever.
We need those different perspectives.
Those voices that make us stop and think.
And that's where it gets fun. Right? Rethinking shouldn't feel like a chore.
It should be exciting.
Like solving a puzzle.
Piecing together a mystery.
And those aha moments.
And it all clicks into place.
That's the reward.
For all that mental effort.
So to our amazing listeners,
we encourage you to embrace the power of rethinking.
Challenge those assumptions.
Seek out diverse perspectives.
And never stop learning.
And if you want to learn more,
check out the One Book a Day YouTube channel.
And the Amazon link in the description.
We'll be back next week with another deep dive.
Until then, keep those minds open.
And those rethinking muscles flexed.
Happy rethinking, everyone.
See you next time.